All right, we are back. This is CrossFire. My name is Dapo Banjo. I have Barrister Ishoma driving the show with me, and then we have a guest, Mr. Shola Obikanye. This is a seasoned agronomist and a RAS, he's a RAS man. That is a registered animal scientist. And we've been discussing about repositioning of agriculture to taking over as Nigerian's economic mainstay. The oil has really failed. In recent times, the global oil price dipped so badly that it's affecting virtually everything Nigeria stands for. And so we've been looking into this. Now, I quickly want to diversify a little bit. We still, talking about, haven't laid the foundation saying, okay, agriculture can actually take it over. My concern is that why has agriculture not taken over? Why has it not taken over? We have had government put, a lot of money, a lot of structures, our institutions. Now, the structures, the institution around agriculture as a sector of Nigerian economy, are they working? Talk about, government's policy on importation and exportation, government policy saying that farmers should be supported financially. Are banks actually giving loans even to farmers? Can we see an appreciable growth, to give us, to give us this idea, or to probably give us the confidence that agri can actually step in and become a major mainstay?
Well, I think you've asked multifarious questions, but I'll just attempt to address them as much as I can. I am not an apologist for the government, current or present. Like I told you, I'm just being objective about what I have been privileged to witness. I am a robust and active player in the industry, so I have an idea of what the government has been doing. Since 1973 or thereabout, the government has put in place special schemes and intervention to try and see how they can actually help the lot of the farmers. Don't forget, I think when you were rolling out your statistics, you did say that agriculture engages 70% of the country's population. Another statistics would even say 85% of the country's population.
But we don't seem to see that playing out into the benefits.
Now, the bulk of the 70% are actually at the subsistence or small scale level. Rural, yes. And that is because, to a large extent, that is what they've always known to do. Now, I think that the issue that we should be addressing on ground here is not the lack of government schemes and interventions. They've been doing that since 1973. And even with more emphasis now in 2014, 2015. We have schemes and intervention like the Commercial Agri-Credit Scheme. That's for the big guys. We have stuff like the small and medium scale credit guarantee scheme. We even have the MSME, that is the Micro, Small and Medium Credit Development Funds. All of these are actually targeted at SMEs or large corporates. But the one that has been the oldest among all of these schemes is the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund. Okay, it's been around for a good while, but like you have said, and I'm sure our viewers at home may probably agree with you, it's not really touching the common man. And if it is not doing that, then it is not working. So I think that what we should look at here, look out for here is, yes, we have the best of schemes and policies and interventions that any nation can possibly hope for, but why is it not working? Is there a need for us to tweak our strategies? Is there a need for us to review these policies and schemes in such a way that they will reflect the current realities that we have? So I will still say that the government has been making feeble attempts, but I will call for a review of these schemes and these strategies in such a way and manner that it will get to the common man. But I need to say this, that the reason why the government schemes and policies have not really been getting to the common man is because of the breakdown of the agricultural value chain over the years. I mean, when I was having my opening remarks, I spoke about how the Commodities Board would protect the marketing interest of the farmers, how the extension officers would actually go in there and ensure that they teach the farmer on best practices agronomically, and so on and so forth. But today, all of these structures are not there.
Sorry to interject. That has not been the situation here. Let me quickly paint a scenario.
Okay.
You have a rural-based farmer, somebody far back in Katsina State, who inherited probably 1 acre of land, you know, or an hectare of land, and is just doing his family business. I mean, that is what he does for living. That is what his family have their total dependency on. And then you have somebody who is well privileged, who knows about 5 or 6 of those farms, and who is taking advantage of those rural, those local men who are growing tomatoes and yam and all of that. And they say, don't worry, I'll be coming to buy this stuff from you once you harvest. And then he will now do the transportation, take it to the market, and then, he's buying at a peanut from the farmer, from the local farmer, and is going to sell at premium, you know, in the main market. He can even, go the extra mile, buy it in Sokoto, and bring it to Lagos to sell.
Like, well, we're still on the same page. We're still talking about the agricultural value chain issue.
But government is supposed to regulate and mandate.
Thank you very much.
Which they have failed to.
No, well, I think they are putting structures in place to so do. Don't forget.
For how long?
I said earlier that the responsibility of the government is to ensure that we have sound policies that can be driven on a consistent and sustainable basis.
Who drives it?
The government. I said the responsibility of the government.
Yes,
when you now take a look at what the government has done versus the private sector participation, and this is where we bring in the financial institutions and other stakeholders. Maybe we'll come to that in a brief while. You now see that there's a little bit of disconnect. But I will say that our storage facilities are gone, our transportation system, agricultural transportation systems are gone, farm machinery and equipment are moribund, and even primary production, we do not have high-yield varieties anymore. We do not have the best extension services that will teach the farmers on the best practices.
Now, a quick one, sir. A quick one, sir. I used to know that the major means of transportation for agri product to get to localities and states where it's being demanded for, or that it should be, used to be the rail.
Yeah,
the rail system has collapsed several years back, and the government has not revamped.
Or at least try to set up something.
So little wonder food have been so expensive because they now go by road. And then the wear and tear of the articulated vehicles that they use oftentimes, the bad state of the Nigerian roads.
And also looking at the fact that some of these products are perishable in nature. By the time you transport them by road from the north to Lagos or the south,
even high cost of petrol and diesel to fill this vehicle to bring it. So by the time it's getting to a place like Lagos.
Isioma Dapo, let me say this. I am not the government's apologist, and all of these things are things that you can see on ground. Yes, there's a dearth in infrastructure, I must agree, and I am certain that if the bulk of these things are actually put in place, they will go a long way in fixing this same value chain that we're talking about. The value chain issue is an issue of one aspect of agricultural business linking the other, and making it such a seamless process such that costs, in between all of these segments of the value chain will be fixed. And where you have that, it will go a long way. But like I said earlier, I am not an apologist for this government.
But financial institutions who are also investing and helping also in developing the agricultural sector, why have they also neglected this?
Thank you very much. Now,
because this could be very good investment for them.
Money if you are not going to take advantage of it? Why will you give me money knowing fully well that every structure that you support, the loan I'm taking from you to be able to succeed in the business that I'm doing are not there? You are just leaving me to go and hang myself. It's like giving me a rope to go and hang myself. You made money available to me. You know definitely that pets are going to come and eat up my farm produce. You know too well that
storing them also is key.
No irrigated farming, no mechanized.
I am coming back here. Therefore, Isioma, I will say it again and I reiterate. If you understand the concept of the agricultural value chain, then you will discover that all these issues that we are bringing up are mere microcosms of the bigger picture. It's a bigger picture because you take a look at, you're talking about storage facilities, for instance, and I'm saying that that is a value chain, it's a segment of the value chain. It is broken down, and the government has a responsibility to fix it. Now, the same thing with feeder roads, not even graded roads, feeder roads that will get into where these farms are, the farm settlements, and then bring it out. In the days of regionalization, where, I mean, when we've practiced the regional government, you discover that every region had its farm settlement. Not only that, they had houses for those people there. They had schools for the children of the farmers. And these farmers, despite the fact that they did not have the kind of hectareage of farms that we have today, but because they had a well-fixed value chain, they know that if they produce this, they will have adequate transportation, they will have good storage facilities. There's a commodities board that is going to help them to sell at premium prices. Farmers that are actually earning, on the average, had their children sent abroad to England, to the US, for tertiary education at the time. Now, again,
that is not Abubakar Muhammad in Sokoto State.
Oh, how is that?
Does that apply to Abubakar Muhammad in Sokoto State?
I am talking about
one village, in one local village in Sokoto State, that a guy is already blocking him from the structures that government have put in place for him to be able to sell his product at premium.
Apparently, you are actually taking the position of what a philosopher said, that I enjoy the dreams of the future better than the histories of the past. All right, I will not make any reference to the past anymore. I probably will talk about what is happening and what should happen. I must, and honestly, I'll be doing him a great injustice if I don't say it here and now.
So you are saying, that agriculture can save the day?
It has saved the day before. So it can do it again. It can do it again. Because, I mean, if we just start doing what we stopped doing, it will start working again. I mean, it's not a rocket science.
So moving forward also, like you and I spoke, off camera. I have interest in agriculture, and I know a lot of our viewers have interest in agriculture. But one of the major areas is funding. Because of the huge capital involved. Now, I know a lot of our viewers have that at the back of their mind also. So if any one of us or any individual wants to step into agricultural investment, and they do not have proper financing, what are the things or what are the areas they can get financial support
And again, I mean, why are banks not lending? Are banks, let me put it this way.
They make it so difficult.
Are banks lending?
To give loans?
Are banks actually lending to farmers? Are they giving to the agri sector?
I must say that banks are not doing enough.
All right,
but it
please hold on your thoughts.
Please.
Let's take this call quickly from Abuja. Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning,
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to the first person.
Yes, Alex, good morning.
God has so positioned Nigeria that we were blessed with oil, which will have provided the foundation to produce our solution to this country. There is no made reference to General Obasanjo. I remember the Operation Feed the Nation. And then in the course of Babangida, I remember DFI, Department of Food and Infrastructure, to at least introduce the kind of evolution to the Nigerian agricultural sector. But the question is, to what extent are they really achieved? You see, I'm making my call based on that backyard farmer in the village. My neighborhood, for instance. And then that Sokoto local farmer that has researched to. You see, deliberate effort of government, all these policies and programs, they are not targeted at rural farmers. So it was high time the government started something in respect of those rural farmers, because the bulk of the country they are from the village. You see, I want your response to you as a banker. Experience has shown that banks, they are just merely institutions meant to explain the situation. Most of the banks are interested in refining agricultural products. We want to see the bank, the farms owned by the banks, realizing that yes, agri should be the mainstay of the economy. Let us de-emphasize oil, whose price is doing it now. So opportunity has now come for Nigeria. I mean,
All right. Thank you so very much, Alex. I don't even know what Alex does. Alex is just so vast.
Very
he just has something good to contribute to
That's
the show.
how you know people who love
their
You see,
nation.
earlier when I was speaking, I did say that unless or until the impact of the government policies, their schemes and interventions, reaches the subsistent farmer, the small-scale farmer, it will not be seen as enough. And that was why I said, Alex, that we should call for a review of all of these schemes. And where we discover that they are not as realistic or they've not attained their desired objectives, then we have to tell the incoming government to please come up with better strategy on how to deal with
Now,
this.
let's quickly talk about the role of banks.
Okay, then.
In the agri sector.
You hadn't also addressed that
Yes.
issue.
In the agri sector.
Yes. Now, in the agri sector, banks have not actually been lending right up till about 2011, 2012. And the reasons are there. I mean, you can bring any banker here, he will tell you the reasons. Number one, high risk. Number two, that is the perception, the perceived high risk. Okay. The subsistent and small-scale farmer is unstructured in his business.
If I am a banker, I would give.
He's unstructured in his business. He's unlettered. And you know, because he sees agri as a vocation and as a way of life, he's never seen it as a business. So there is no structure. Some farmers actually go out there to put things in the ground. They come out with losses. But because they did not even remember what they put in the ground, they can't remember what they're getting out of it. Don't forget that storage facility will also take its own bit of their gain and their margins and all. So I will say that, yes, as long as, I mean, to the extent that these small and medium-scale guys, the subsistent farmers, to the extent that they do not have structures, banks will always hold them a little bit out there. However, I need to say this, that part of the government's program as well, and it has to be driven and probably reviewed, is to attempt to fix the value chain. I was saying it earlier, that the outgoing minister, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has actually done a bit. He's contributed his bit in conjunction with the central bank. They've done their bit in trying to ensure that gaps in the value chain are identified so that they'll be able to drive government focus and resources to that. At the same time, they're trying to bring in the banks by offering guarantees on behalf of all of these farmers that do not otherwise have collateral. Don't forget that part of the lending principles of banks, so according to British Gender Guideline, is for you to have a cover. So, but when you go through the value chain approach, for instance, you could actually lend indirectly to these people that have no structure if they are actually outgrowers or contract growers for a common processor that has a structure. So you could go through that. Now, this is just one instance of the value chain that I believe that the government will need to drive. Not every farmer should have cash, but every farmer deserves to have the resources to work with. Yeah.
All right, not every farmer should have cash, but every farmer should have the resources to work with. We'll proceed on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll still be discussing agriculture becoming Nigerian mainstay. You stay with us. Right, we are back. This is still Crossfire with Dapo and Ishoma, and then we have this gentleman joining us on the show, and he's been here. We'll be talking about agriculture becoming Nigeria's economic mainstay. The oil has failed, and it's still failing. And agriculture, can it actually become? And so we've been talking. Now, Mr. Obikane, let me quickly ask you this. Why will you not give me money to go into agric? I am interested. Ishoma is interested. You are our friend. And I mean, for me, why will you not give me money to go into agric?
Dapo, Ishoma, I love your passion for agriculture, but that is one of the bane of agricultural business. If passion is not matched with knowledge, agric is just not putting things on the ground or putting fishes in the pond. It is about profitability. So there is the dire need for you to have what I would call technical know-how of how to go about it. Now, I'm not saying that you should necessarily be graduates of agriculture, but there must be a measure, a level of knowledge that will be matched with your passion to enable me to give that. Well, we have all kinds of both training, I mean, formal and informal training. You could go and understudy a particular farm. And I'm not talking about just understudying from afar. This is something that, I mean, there's a farm.
To live on the farm.
There's a farm in Porto Novo, that's the Songhai Farms. I mean, they have various modules, and you could just go there, sit in for 3 weeks, wake up with everybody, go to bed with everybody, walk around, see how they do stuff, look at their books, and then have that basic knowledge. The foundation of that is what will drive your passion and will convince me that, yes, you are ready to make agriculture not just a vocation, but a profitable business. So for me, I will need you guys to subject yourself to some level of technical know-how to match with your passion, because you are quite passionate, for me to be able to say, okay, let me take you to a bank or introduce you to a financier that can actually invest this money in your business.
Okay, if I cross this module, now what are the funding opportunities available for the various level of agribusiness?
Well, like I said, the government's role cannot be overemphasized. No government in the world, first world, second world, third world, even the world to come, would leave food security to the whim and caprice of just private sector participation, 100%. And so because of that, the government has also come up with, I mean, probably you should bring up a government official one of these days. They will tell you the bulk of what they've done. There is the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme. This is just meant for smallholders and small-scale people that could take between 1 million to 10 million. And the government, that is through the CBN, is ready to offer a guarantee of up to 75%, you know, so that whatever is left, you probably will be able to take some other form of guarantee or cover for them. And then they have that money, and they're able to pay. Now, an incentive is attached to this particular scheme. That's the ACGSF, Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund. You are entitled to 40% interest drawback. You know,
in a late time to Abubakar in Sokoto.
Yeah, sure.
What does that?
Okay, what that simply means is, if you go to say your Bank of Agriculture, for instance, or a commercial bank in your town, to pick, say, 500,000 or 1 million, and of course they're going to give you their commercial interest rate, and you manage to pay to the full term, you do not default, you are able to do whatever you have to do. At the end of that facility, the bank is obliged, under that scheme, to process for you what is known as an interest drawback. Now, that is your interest element that you have paid on the facility you borrowed, to process for you 40%. Now, the CBN will pay the farmer back 40% of the interest that he has paid to the bank. Now, that effectively brings his interest.
If I took, let's assume I borrowed $1 million naira, I returned 1.4 million naira. You know, I haven't paid the interest. So, I mean, I am entitled to 40% of 400,000.
Absolutely.
That will be given back to me at no interest.
Absolutely.
Just like an investment from the scheme into my business.
Well, is this it's like a refund of what you have paid even on your facility. Do you understand? I mean, you have 400, 40%. I mean, you've paid 400 in interest, and 40% of that is returned to your account. You're at liberty to do whatever you want with it. It's your money. It is just a way of subsidizing the interest that you have paid, because the interest is a little bit off. Now, that is just for the small scale. Now, we have, let's just talk about the more recent ones. We have the Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme. That's the 200 billion fund
from the central bank.
Like I have said, this particular one is for the big guys, the commercial farms. When it was brought into this space, it was aimed at the bulk of our big farms, the commercial farms that had gone moribund, and were still going moribund. So it was a kind of a lifeline. And then after a while, the government reviewed it to even include SMEs that wish to expand. Now, we have that in place. And then, of course, we have the NISAL. That is the minister's pet project. That's the Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending. Quite a mouthful. But the acronym is NISAL. Now, for NISAL, it works pretty well like ACGSF, just that this time around, instead of having of course, it gives you that guaranteed cover as well. And there is no limit, unlike the ACGSF. But instead of having, your interest drawback processed for you at the end of the tenure, your interest drawback is now processed for you every quarter. Now, that kind of injects liquidity into your margin. Yes. And so it's I would call it a hybrid of what, in fact, much more than what ACGSF had to offer.
There
are more of them. We have about 6 or 7.
And a lot of people are not knowledgeable about these opportunities and platforms.
Yeah, because information, I mean, how much of this information is out there for people to be able to access some of these facilities? Anyway, but that's not my question. Knowing fully well, over time, that most of the agricultural, agriculture in Nigeria is done traditionally. No mechanization, no introduction of modern equipments and all of that. Now, that means the only set of people who really can do mechanized farming are the big guys.
Those who have the funds to.
So the small guys who are still doing it locally, even though there's a scheme that is taking care of them, but they still have to put the hoe and the cutlasses and the likes of it. They still have to do it, physically.
In the beginning, it was not so. You have tempted me to go back to the 60s when it worked. But what I think is working right now is that along the line, we have had emerging enterprises like the tractor service providers, who now, that's about the only job they have. They have tractors for hiring. Farmers, cluster themselves in groups and cooperatives, and they hire the services of these tractors. And in the final analysis, they're able to get their lands prepared. Now, I hasten to say that because the average small-scale farmer cannot afford a tractor, the need for that service now becomes pertinent. It becomes a segment of the value chain. And so the government actually has said, because you see, it is my responsibility. I am not a spokesman for the government, but it's my responsibility to tell you what I know exists, okay? The government has actually come up with a tractor finance scheme to ensure that the moribund tractors in this country are replaced through certain schemes in which certain banks are also engaged. At least, I think it would be in your interest to consult stakeholders like the Tractor Operator Owners Association of Nigeria or the Tractor Operators and Hiring Facilities Association of Nigeria. These guys will come and tell you how things are done. They go out to the farming community with their tractor, and all of these farmers come together, contribute their amount, and they pay the fee. And so it's a lot easier these days, just that we now need to do more. I think they're on the right track as far as that is concerned, my personal opinion, but they need to do more.
All right. I can only say we will be bringing Mr. Obika back, because we have loads and loads and loads of questions to really ask. And I know that Nigerians, are really, really very surprised, or some of them are dazed to know that there are institutions and there are facilities that they can access, to actually give them that edge. Ishoma is getting encouraged.
You are getting encouraged.
That finally, one of your dreams in life, one of our dreams in life, we see the light of the day.
It's possible.
I want to say very big thank you to
Mr.
Obika, a seasoned banker and a RAS. All right, thank you so very much for being a part of our show. We definitely will be bringing you back. And for everyone who have been a part of our show today, we want to say very big thank you. Join us again tomorrow morning for another very interesting episode. And do stay out of trouble.
And say no to violence. Bye.